Angela Merkel arrives in Greece today on an official visit, during which she'll ask the country to commit to its deficit reduction programme and make cuts of another €13 billion. Germany's Chancellor will be greeted by an unprecedented security operation, with an additional 7,000 police deployed on the streets of Athens because of fears there could be violent anti-German protests.
This is the anger and violence austerity in Greece provokes. And with the German Chancellor set to arrive in Athens, the Greek authorities are bracing for unrest. Officials say at least 6,000 riot police have been placed on alert. Many Greeks, Angela Merkel is not welcome.
To come and do what? Why should she come? They should just get rid of her and all the rest of them with her.
And this is why so many are so furious. Critics say painful austerity cuts backed by Berlin have left vast numbers of Greeks unemployed and destitute, many dependent on soup kitchens like this one in Athens for a hot meal. If Greece was to receive the 2 bailouts it needed and stay in Europe, Chancellor Merkel made clear difficult government spending cuts would have to be made.
It may be economically right to make Greece and other fringe countries institute these economic reforms, but do you believe it's moral? Is it right to make people go through this kind of pain?
It's very bitter, obviously. Sacrifices have to be made, but I think these are necessary measures that have to be taken. I think it was not easy for anyone to impose those measures on them, but these, I think, have been made on the background of a great experience that the IMF has.
But now that hard-line stance, which has seen the Chancellor characterised by critics as a bullying Nazi, appears to have softened. And there are some Greeks who see Merkel's visit as a show of support, her intention to keep Greece in the euro at all costs.
Don't cry, Angela, says the banner. There's nothing left in the cupboard for you to take. Extensive security preparations are underway for the 6-hour visit on Tuesday afternoon. 6,000 police are on duty, as well as anti-terrorist units and rooftop snipers. Gatherings are banned in the centre of the capital. We're not against the German people, he says, but we are against the hardline policies put together by the strong EU members, including Germany. The Greek economy has shrunk by a fifth since 2008. Private sector unemployment stands at a record 24%, while state workers have lost a third of their income.
But ordinary Greeks won't offer her the same welcome. Large parts of central Athens have been cordoned off, with protests restricted by the authorities. Reviled by many, respected by others, few foreign leaders elicit such a reaction here.
She needs to show more consideration for the Greeks, because we've given a lot more than others have given in other countries. And she should also show more respect for our culture.
I think Greece can succeed, but it needs support from its partners. I think this is a positive action from the Germans.
Elsewhere, a reminder of the tensions that remain, scuffles between pensioners and police, the EU flag set on fire. As this nation sinks further into its worst crisis in modern history, it is looking for someone to blame. Germany's Chancellor is often that figure. Now she's coming into the lion's den.
It ought to be perfectly routine. A head of government from one EU country visiting her counterpart in another EU country. But there's nothing routine about this visit. In fact, it's hard to think of a parallel in recent European history. There are going to be thousands of policemen enforcing security in the centre of Athens, limitations on public transport, limitations on the right to protest. But despite all that, there is the possibility of trouble here in Athens, and all of that begs the question, why on earth is Angela Merkel bothering to come here? I think that she's trying to show support for a beleaguered Greek coalition government, which still has to push through a lot more measures of austerity, which are going to be deeply unpopular with the Greek public. And Angela Merkel knows that if this Greek government were to fall after all the political turmoil we've seen in this country, well then the most likely alternatives would be from the far left or indeed the extreme right, and she would find those even harder to work with.